Hello, my name is Kira. I'm a nutrition and herbalist and an energy worker. If either of those things pertain to you or interest you at all, you should hit me with the follow button or subscribe or wherever that is. Today I'm going to be going over how the gut and the brain are connected and how sometimes gut dysbiosis can create things like anxiety, depression, and some psychological disorders, or at least the part that they might play in that. On a energy perspective, the first thing that I usually will tell clients is that it could have something to do with the fact that you still consume animal products. So I know a lot of you non-vegans out there are gonna not like this at all. That's completely fine. Everybody has a different diet and different things that their body actually needs. So vegan diet isn't perfect for everyone, but I personally think that it is the most ideal diet for many reasons, and one of them is this. When an animal is living in a farm and it's depressed and it's anxious and it's living in unideal conditions, it is going to have really negative energy. And when it dies, it's anxious and depressed, and you consume that energy and then you take on some of that energy. So that's one attribute of anxiety that I think can come from the gut. Another really main one, and one that I focus on a lot with clients as well, is gut dysbiosis. So if your gut is in a state of dysbiosis and you have inflammation or parasites or fungus, or you're just eating things you're allergic to, the gut is going to constantly send signals to the brain saying, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And if you're not aware that it's coming from the gut, you can think that you just have generalized anxiety disorder. Because, those of you that do have generalized anxiety disorder, you know that when you go through life, you're constantly thinking, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, I'm anxious. And then you're kind of looking for reasons like, why am I anxious? Sometimes you can't find a reason. Sometimes there's no situation that would generally cause anxiety. And that is when I think it really does play a factor that the gut, there's something might be wrong going on in the gut. They've run recent studies that show that there are more neurons in the large intestine than there are in the brain itself. So with that knowledge, we can really say that the gut is highly intelligent, literally has a mind of its own. So also our cravings come from the gut. Oftentimes you'll crave chocolate or sugar or pasta or whatever, which is great if your gut is in a healthy state. Then you'll end up craving things like leafy greens and fruits when you need it, and seeds and nuts. And when your body's in a healthy state, it will send signals to the brain to eat things that are good because you're feeding good gut bacteria. When your gut has a lot of bad gut bacteria, it's going to send signals to the brain saying, eat sugar, eat carbs, eat pizza, let's go get Indian food, which are all great in moderation. But the bad thing is that if the bad gut bacteria is controlling these thoughts, that means they're sending it to your brain to keep themselves alive and to proliferate and create more of them. They want to multiply. That's the main goal of any living thing, is to stay alive and procreate, and gut bacteria is no different. So it wants to stay alive, and if it's something that's causing a lot of problems in your body, you don't want it to stay alive and you don't want it to multiply. So you want to get to the root cause of that. If you're craving a lot of really high sweet things, a lot of carbohydrates can indicate a lot of different problems as well. But that's just something to be mindful of. Allergies are a huge factor in inflammation in the gut, and also just anxiety, because it causes a lot of that, a lot of inflammation and a lot of gut problems. So it's going to be telling you, I don't like this, something's wrong, figure it out. And there's not really a way for us to completely decipher that it's coming from the gut yet. But scientists have shown that there is a communication between the gut and the brain. And just like there's a communication between the brain and the gut, a lot of us, when we get anxiety, our stomach starts to turn. When we, figure out some information that we don't want to know, our gut will feel that queasy feeling. When we get depressed, some of us eat more. When we get depressed, some of us eat less. There is a huge connection between the mind and the gut. So it only makes sense that it goes both ways. So another way you can diagnose allergies are, you could do the Whole30 diet, which is really popular right now. Basically, you just cut out a lot of the things that you're eating and you slowly introduce them back and see what things cause problems and what things don't. If I don't have a video about that on my channel already, I will eventually. Or you can just look it up. It's all over the web right now. It's a real big thing. Or you can do allergy testing. Sometimes they'll be able to do it through your primary care doctor, but a lot of them don't offer really in-depth testing or food sensitivity tests. And what I want to note is that the prick test is not as beneficial with diagnosing food allergies because they're only showing a certain kind of allergic reaction. And there are two kinds of allergic reactions. I can go into that in another video too. I'm for sure gonna have an allergy video because your girl got a lot of food allergies herself, so I feel for all of you. So you're probably asking yourself, let me make sure I got everything so far. Oh, also, serotonin is produced in the gut. So that's another way that there is a link between psychological and mental disorders and the gut. So there's a huge play in that as well. This is where all of those things are produced. So anyways, at this point, you're probably asking, what can I do about this? So if you were my client, which you should be, if you want to be, you can follow a link to my website and you can book a consult with me also. I don't know where that's gonna be, but I'm thinking it's down here. And so what I would firstly recommend to you is to stop eating animal products. I know it's hard. I know that there's a whole wide range of reasons why a lot of people like to keep eating animal products. But I assure you there is a lot of other ways to get those vitamins that you think you need from that and that protein. And there's so many substitutions where you can get that similar flavor and you can still cook your favorite meals, and I will help you, I promise. So stop eating animal products, specifically meat and dairy. That's where most of that energy that you're going to consume that's anxious and depressed and low vibrational, that's where that's going to come from. And it's just, in 2020, there's so many other ways that we can do this, that we don't have to do that anymore for yourself, for your own mental state, and the animals too, but firstly for your own health. Secondly, find the root cause of the dysbiosis in your gut. So let's diagnose those allergies. Let's find out what things that you're allergic to that are causing you to have, these symptoms and these problems. Diagnose and see if you have possibly any parasites. You can get parasites from so many different things. Even if you're a vegan, you can get it from your produce. There's bugs all over produce. If you don't wash it well, you can get it from that. Drinking water in certain areas, that you can get parasites from so many different things. Having animals in your house, so much different stuff. So parasites are a possibility. Fungus is a huge problem right now, especially for those of you that crave a lot of carbohydrates and sugars. That's something to really look into. That can be causing a lot of problems in your gut, mind, all over the body. A good thing to try doing, regardless of what the problem could possibly be, is doing a fast. This is something I always recommend to do with the help of a dietitian, nutritionist, or a medical doctor, because there's a lot of things that you'll want to know and you'll want guidance with, just to make sure that you do this correctly and safely. But when you fast, you actually kill off a lot of the bad gut bacteria that depends on you to be eating these sugary, high carbohydrate, meat, whatever food. So by not feeding them, they die off. And that gives your gut kind of a balanced, neutral state. I'll make another video about fasting too, but fasting also puts your body in a state of phagocytosis. So basically what that is it turns on these macrophages. They're cells called macrophages, and they'll go through the body and they'll eat dead cells. So it basically rejuvenates you. You'll feel really, really good. And back in Paleolithic times, we did not eat every day, and we definitely did not eat 3 meals every day. We would go a few days without food because we couldn't find any animals to hunt or food to gather. So it's the natural state of our body to go a while without constantly having to digest things all the time. It's a lot of pressure on your gut and your liver. So fasting is a saving grace. Fasting is great. If you can't do completely no food, You can do teas and juices. You can do some like really cooked steamed vegetables that are really low calorie, low glycemic. Fasting mimicking is great too. And there's also a few other supplements that I would recommend. Probiotics are great. I always recommend to my clients to take them on an empty stomach in the morning and at night if your gut is in a really bad state of dysbiosis, because at that point there's nothing in your gut. So it's a complete blank slate in the morning and at night, ideally. And you're just going to be feeding that good gut bacteria right in the morning, right at night when there's nothing in your stomach. It goes straight where it needs to go. I really like the brand Probulin. Probulin is great because it's in a seaweed encapsulation, so it makes it all the way to the small intestine. So good stuff right there. Another one I recommend is L-glutamine. It strengthens the gut lining. It helps strengthen all of our mucosal membranes. So you always want some stronger mucosal membranes in general. So that helps with the eyes and the gut as well. And I would recommend doing some kind of a cleanse, but that's going to be based on your needs and your symptoms. So I'm not going to throw any out there, but possibly a candida cleanse, a parasite cleanse. And that would those would probably be my main recommendations. Aloe vera is nice too because it brings down inflammation in the gut, creates kind of a cooling effect too. And it helps seal the gut lining as well, since it has that gooey kind of texture. It helps seal the membrane of the gut if you possibly have leaky gut. So those are probably my top few supplements that I would recommend, and just trying to eat a really low inflammation diet. If you can't eat vegan and gluten-free, do your best, but just know that the commitment to it and the everyday making sure that you're eating vegan and gluten-free, that really, really helps, because even just a pinch of dairy sometimes can really, really throw your gut into a whole state of inflammation and just dysbiosis. And then it's going to send those signals straight to your brain that say, help me, something's wrong. And then you're going to see, those same psychological symptoms as well. If you guys have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments or you can privately message me. I do have a health Instagram called The Light Code Language, spelled exactly like my channel's name. And you can reach me there if you have questions or if you want to book a consult with me or do some testing or energy work, which is also really helpful in the process of just overall well-being and to live a happy, healthy life, which I wish for you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon.